Hi, everybody, and welcome, Deborah. How
Hey
are you?
Nate, great. I'm so happy to see you again. I wish you weren't
Yes,
so far away, but that's
yes.
life.
Last time we recorded, we were in the same room, but this time we're a bit further away.
A little bit.
So, Deborah, you had an idea for this collaboration. Do you want to share a little bit how you got this idea and what it
Yeah,
is?
just, all of a sudden, that song from the 60s in the year 2525 starts playing in my head. And I started thinking about it and in context of what we in our communities have been talking about. And there's a great interest in what's going to happen in the future because people are feeling insecure today. So if we can get maybe a picture of what's out there. And so I reflected on that song and looking at the lyrics, and I was a little gobsmacked to think that, wow, they thought that things would not change until 2525. But yeah, look, where we're in a whole different world from where they were in the 60s, which I think makes sense because that just seems so distant to them. So I thought it would be fun for us to do a little exploration of the future and find out what can we learn about the future that might be of comfort and help to our community.
Absolutely. To guide ourselves to kind of what's the next frontier, what's the next level of development and awareness for our humanity. Um, who knows? It might still be us. It might be our children, grandchildren, generations. That has yet to be seen because with the development of science, we don't really know how long people will live.
Well, we're being told it's going to be longer than it has been because our DNA is shifting as we
Yes.
move to the new world.
So
And
kind
don't
of
you think
you
that somewhere in that vicinity, certainly the ETs will have visited us by then, and we'll probably be traveling, we'll be interstellar people by then, right?
Oh, for sure. I, when I was reflecting on using this year 2020, 25, 25 as a kind of a marker, um, it really felt to me that, yes, I agree with you. We were going from planet to planet. Um, I would say also going forward and backward in time. Time feels to me like a geographical location as opposed to an actual time. If you think of a time machine, the time machine take you in a different time, but actually technically a different place. And so I do feel that people time travel as much as they astral travel.
Possible. One time in a meditation, Jesus said to me, time is fungible. And that really took a while to wrap my head around, but it's true. We just don't
Yeah,
perceive.
no, it's a human construct. And when I try to explain my view of it, to explain why time really is more of a subjective concept, it's like think about an hour of time. An hour of you and I together doing this video doesn't feel like an hour on a treadmill or doing dishes.
True.
And but it's the same hour. But that's also why it's subjective. And so we feel it's not the same amount of time. We feel that that hour felt much shorter when we had fun, but it's the same hour.
And the same can be said of meditation. When you go on one of
Mm.
those traveling meditations, maybe you're doing some astral traveling, you can accomplish so much in just minutes. But you were
Yes,
really in the astral time, you were there much longer.
correct. if particularly if you astral time, like many people do, I believe, during their dreams at night when they're sleeping, they're actually quite active working,
Mhm.
uh, with some of them being, a group of souls working for astral governments, um, for not just humanity, but for constellations and planets, and not the world order, but our full order. Do When you zone in into that time, I am curious, do you feel people are happy?
What really comes through energetically is peace.
Mm,
They know who they are. They've moved out of that time where so many people suffer from low self-esteem. They're more connected to their divine soul. So they have that deeper appreciation for themselves because they now have memories of their past lives. Those are not all forgotten. They're holding on to the whole of who they are. So they've got that spiritual awareness, and that informs upon how they function in daily life with one another. There's no need for conflicts because everybody is abundant. They know how to create the life that they want. It's really sort of utopia.
yeah. And how do you see, obviously, one of the biggest challenge, I would say, of this time is, money and the corruption of money and the connections between power and money. So do you feel like there is still a level of money involved, or this is now all exchange based, energy based, or simply because there is just enough?
It feels like there is no commerce in the way that we understand it now. It's just if there's a need, it gets filled. People are free to pursue whatever they wish to pursue. Products are created and like they're put into maybe like a common stockpile from which people can withdraw if they need to. But it's not like there's all that judgment and that scarcity mentality. That's all gone.
So there's enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they know how to manifest. Of course, there's enough.
Yes.
Plus, their priorities have changed.
That's probably, and the values. What do you see as far as values?
It's more around people and their spiritual journey.
Yeah.
The ideals that many of the religions throughout the ages have taught, but not really lived up to.
The part that I'm getting right now is about how much people living in that time are connected with their ancestors. And so it feels like the people that are in person in a human form coexist with spirits. The society really looks at them being one.
Yeah, having that connection, knowing that there's more than just what they see in their little world. Absolutely. But
So that,
there's a deepening of honor and respect for the planet
oh, for sure.
that has been lost for a long time. It's more collaboration.
Mhm. Well, the planet, I don't see the planet reacting or suffering. the planet feels vibrant, and certainly there's weather phenomenons, but it doesn't feel aggressive or reactive or like, in other words, like, yes, you could see storms, you could see volcanoes, you could see, but those are not harmful. They they're just a representation of a body that lives and breathes.
What I'm feeling is a very intense heartbeat from Gaia in that
Mm-hmm.
time, where now maybe the heartbeat is a little less vibrant. It's kind of weak. Her vitality being restored.
Especially what I'm showing is the lungs area. So trees, forest, it's easy to breathe. And that's like the main thing I get. Like if I transport myself between now and then, in comparison, coming back here, it's hard to breathe.
Yeah. And it also feels like the population will naturally reduce to a reasonable number. Because this is a soul school that people have wanted to come to, they've competed to come because you learn so much and accelerate so fast here. We've been overcrowded.
Yes.
But in the future, Earth and the people will have shifted to more of that Earthtopian value so that this won't be the hot soul school to go to. There will be other planets people will go to for that purpose. We will
Uh,
have, as Earth, gone through that phase and moved into, taking us out of high school phase, and maybe now we're in PhD level or something.
that makes complete sense because obviously when you and I and all of you were watching, I believe that we made the decision, our soul made the decision to come on Earth with an understanding that that would be rough, challenging, painful at times. We still decided to come here. But now that Gaia has recovered, it will be a different group of souls, souls that are gentle, that are more aligned with this vibration. And like you said, yes, for souls who still wants the energy of learning lessons, another planet will serve that purpose.
So Earth at that time, and maybe that would be 2525, when souls decide to incarnate here, maybe it's a group of them who have been together and want to come together again for like a lifetime vacation. So that
Mm,
incarnation will just be easy, fun, they'll enjoy it. And when they're ready to go back to school again, they'll choose another location.
yes. It feels like it's almost feels like the the vacation resort for light workers.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. And they had more than one episode on Star Trek like that, where they traveled to a planet that was the resort planet. That's where
Uh,
people went. They needed to get away and relax. So the concept has been out there for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's almost like the word I'm hearing, it's a graduation gift. You graduated, now you can come there and it will show you like how to the beauty of Gaia that's now rested and vibrant, and how easy I hear people say, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't realize it could have been this way. I've been here before, and now it's like this."
Wouldn't it be like you incarnated here during the Stone Age and then you came back during Earthtopia? That would be a massive
Yeah.
acceleration and change and almost like future shock.
Yes, and what's fascinating is we as humans are familiar with the future shock from a technology perspective. Like, oh my God, like you can actually telephone, like, all of these inventions. But it was always through the technology lens. That is not through technology. It is from the spiritual lens. Who cares about technology?
And not the man-made religion spiritual context either.
No.
The real version of personal connections with divine and understanding what that means. Because
Yeah.
what I get when I connect with divine is the plan was always that divine wants to learn more. It's looking for more data, right? So it sends all these souls out to live their lives. And then we're all connected with that God spark that goes into our heart chakra. So as we have experiences, that's all fed back to the collective knowledge base of Creator so that everyone benefits. But Creator is getting all of that feedback from us. That's how it was always designed. So when
Hmm.
it's all of this fighting and destruction, hating on one another that's being fed back, it's not very helpful. You can imagine that must make Creator feel a little sick. But still knowing and trusting that these creations will eventually get it right. And then what comes back will be the pure love, the intention, and then
Yeah.
everybody benefits. Now, of course, thankfully, Creator's getting that kind of feedback from other planets that have already
Yeah.
gone through this. So it's not all just negative stuff being fed back. But I think that in that future, we will have that understanding. It's sacred what we're feeding back. So that brings a whole new level of importance to how you live your life, what you do with your time.
Absolutely. Do you feel that there's maybe a connection with more interest for exploration of Mars? Because this could be the next Gaia where you have some of those more rougher experiences.
Not sure.
Okay.
Well, there's always the choice on the soul's part where they want to go. So, yeah, I mean, when they're ready, they can choose to go someplace that's more challenging. But for a while, for some of us who've really been in the trenches here, I think we're going to choose to go to that resort planet.
Oh, yes. I was thinking maybe for other beings who didn't go through that experience. I just felt like maybe they'll go to Mars. I don't know why I was shown Mars.
Yeah, well, Mars for a while was uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it is at this point even inhabitable. So the planet itself needs some healing. But of course, the interstellar people could work on
Yeah.
terraforming it, making it habitable if there was an interest in that.
Hmm.
Once Earth is healed, they're going to have to put their energy somewhere else. So yeah, maybe that's why Mars came up.
Yeah. And that's why we're starting to see signs that maybe there could be a possible life there. Maybe. And the fact that it was not, and now it's a little bit more, I found that very interesting.
But on the other end of the spectrum, there are so many more planets
Yeah.
out there than what we know about. So we
Hmm.
focus on Mars because in our little solar system,
Yeah.
it's one that's uninhabitable. But when you come at this from the perspective that we will be in that future of all the potential places to go, maybe it won't be such a big deal because it's not like you're limited in choices.
Lots of options. Lots of options, including And that's where you were mentioning ETs, coexisting with ETs in a
Not being
different,
afraid of them. Yeah,
no,
collaborating.
humans and ETs
Yeah, remember
cohabit.
remember
Yeah,
that scene in Star Wars where they go into the bar and you've got all of these diverse beings in there and everybody's just getting along. It's nothing
yeah,
unusual.
which kind of takes DI and diversity to a whole different level. We are just working on DI at the human level, but I feel like it's so restrictive.
It's so silly when you think about it. A distraction from what's really going on.
Mhm. Well, because current governments wants to shrink our world and our liberties, our freedom, when everything is going directionally the other way, bigger than our country, bigger than Earth, bigger than the galaxy, bigger than the solar system. So when you look at this from far away, this feels actually really ridiculous.
But from the perspective of those who wish to control, they need that smaller conclave. When it
Yes.
gets too big, then they won't be able to control it.
Yeah.
That's what they're afraid of.
Well, and reducing education and particularly spiritual education. If people realize that spirituality can set them free, then they lose all the control. That's why there is always been attacks against light workers, even more so than educators.
Yeah. But the irony of that is that everybody is a light worker if
Light
they choose.
worker. Yes.
Why would you want to limit yourself by not being? I don't know, but yeah, that's what will change. And I just got this little blast of the future, in some of the futuristic movies we've seen where you can at will change the color of your hair. You can change your physical shape. You can shapeshift because you're creating your reality.
Okay. Yes.
So
So
we don't need to, it would be kind of magical, like we wouldn't have to necessarily put in all the effort to grow crops, for instance. We could use those powers we have to create whatever products we needed.
that's
Because
why
if you
they
create the reality, that's everything, right?
yeah.
And we're far from that now. So that's what we would be moving towards, one of the big things.
And that tells me that animals are not used for as food. They're used are they are considered beings equal. They are beings. They're equal to humans. We realize that they have their own path. Personally, I know it might be shocking, but at that time, I believe that animals will be considered light workers as well.
Oh, some of them already are. I've met horses that are healers.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's the other side of that. And that is that Creator designed those animals and the circle of life to
Yes.
be consumed, to nourish the people and the other animals that consume them. So that's not an inherently bad thing. That's how it was set up. And the same goes for trees. Trees know that some of them are going to be cut down and used for various reasons that serve humanity. And yet
Yes.
continue to incarnate the animals, the trees, everything, right? It
Yeah.
continues to come. And it just accept that's part of it. Maybe they'll be able to live a long life in this particular incarnation, maybe they won't, but they accept that. And that brings us back to the reverence of the indigenous people If they're
Mhm.
going to consume an animal, they honor the spirit of that animal and they thank it. So at least we would be doing that again.
Yes.
And it could probably go both ways, just depending on how we decide to set it
Mm.
up.
I wanted to ask you, I don't know why this is popping up. Is there a need for entertainment?
Yes, yes, because there are some souls who are wired to be entertainers. It's part of their divine blueprint.
Yeah.
It's natural for them, it's enjoyable for them, and we enjoy watching it. So there will always be those. And think about music. Music would not be going
Yeah.
away. That would be a huge loss.
Oh, I can see music. I can see, generally speaking, creators as in creativity, creation.
An artist, that the
Yeah. Yes.
person who designed your background
Yes.
there will always be people like that who have that creative side that they want to express.
What do you make of health?
Our bodies are designed to be self-healing. We've just lost touch with how to do that. So when we're creating our reality, we're going to create a reality where we're healthy.
Could it be also that Gaia is in a much better position to provide resources to heal us?
Sure.
We have plants and crystals and natural medicine.
Well, and even sound now, they're healing with sound.
Yeah, that's true.
And, the thing
Vibrations.
about the animals that I've noticed, because I had horses for many years and I studied about natural ways of keeping them, there are certain plants that they will seek out when they need them.
Hmm.
For instance, burdock. Now we think of burdock as this horrible thing because you get the burrs, right? And it spreads like wildfire. The animals will seek out burdock and they will eat the leaves and sometimes the stems because it's got really powerful anti-det or detox properties, especially for the liver, but for the body in general. So they have this inherent knowledge that's
Yes.
passed down through the generations. We're not teaching it to them. They know this.
I think it's
So
not just
why?
knowledge, it's also intuitive.
Sure,
Intuitive,
that's because
intuitive knowledge.
sometimes,
Yeah.
they'll get it wrong sometimes and eat something that makes them sick.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not perfect. But I think humanity will reconnect with that ability and of course passing down the knowledge. So yeah, Gaia will supply the natural elements that we need, and then we will avail ourselves of them. We won't be enslaved to pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely not.
Because where do they come from anyway? They started from something natural, most of them. Now it's become so corrupt that they're,
Yeah.
created out of toxic things even. But yeah, I believe that we will lean more into the self-healing ability
Hmm.
because that's how we were designed.
I am shifting a little bit towards another topic, which is relationships. So how would, for example, romantic relationship function? Would there be a sense of being a couple? Would there be a sense of being more a community, a tribe, or living with someone? How do you see that in that world?
Well, I think there will always be some who choose to have the couple because that's what they need. But when we shift into these beings who know who we are, souls, we're confident, we're not needy. So many relationships are about need
Mm,
and trying to change somebody else. So I think it will be more of the community and less of the dedicated couple,
couple.
except the few exceptions who want that, and nobody would deny that to them. They can still do
No.
that. But I see them raising the children in the community and
Hmm.
haven't seen that with indigenous peoples, that made more sense, that everybody helps out, so there's less work.
True. What about the notion of love?
At that point, we love everybody.
Hmm.
It's very different.
Unconditional, universal.
We're never going to be perfect because otherwise, where would we be going as souls? It's always about
Yeah.
getting more
Yes.
perfect, but it will be at such a different level that people will get along. And if they do have conflicts, they will have peaceful ways of resolving. But there will just be love, no matter what color you are, no matter what shape, no matter if you're an ET. It's that love and respect, a reverence for life,
Mm.
because they are all created by the same divine energy.
Because we're not perfect and we still won't be perfect. Is there such thing as jealousy and greed?
There's always going to be that dark shadow because we have polarity, right? We'll never
Yeah.
be rid of that entirely. It'll always be there, but it will be not in the collective. It will be kind of banished out, hiding under the rocks and, trying to create trouble now and then, but not prevalent in the way we see it now. It just won't be allowed. It won't be welcome. And then the souls who come in who are at that lower level, they haven't ascended yet, who still want to use those kinds of energies, they will still be around, but they will also be rubbing shoulders and learning from the other souls who have already crossed that Rubicon into the unconditional love state. And just like it is now, when we talk about being in flow, we're not in flow 100% of the time, we're in and out, right? So even if we are beings who know about unconditional love and practice it, we'll still have things that pull us in and out. We'll just be in it more often than out. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like that's why the education system, it's more of an education, spiritual education first. Actually, spiritual education is the only education. It's an education and training. I don't think there is as much engineering or technical or anything of that nature, because everything feels very simplified.
Well, definitely in flow, and that's
Yeah,
simplified. So we're going to be looking to do things in the way that's easy, that doesn't go into resistance. So that means we wouldn't be doing things like fracking because that's forcing.
yes. And it's reducing the need for technology.
I think there will still be inventors because that creativity element, there will be
Yes,
those who will make up
creator.
things that are
Hmm.
helpful, but not in the way that we see it now. And it won't be reliance on fossil fuels. That I'm confident about.
Oh,
And we know that we could have already gone past that had it not been for the greedy who wanted to control us
for
and keep
sure.
the profits.
Would you like to ask a question to my cards?
Yeah, I don't know if the cards can answer this, but can they tell us approximately when? I mean, we're both pretty much agreed it's not going to be 25-25, it's going to be
Yeah.
sooner. But
How
can we get
far out?
some idea when there would be a noticeable shift? Because I think that's what most people want to know.
intensity.
Ah,
So this is coming no number, but this is coming really fast at light speed.
and you know what that reminds me of? What have we been seeing from the sun? It's been throwing all of that plasma at us. It's been really intense.
So red burning high. This is coming real fast. I mean, not tomorrow, literally, but it is coming really fast.
Which is what many people have felt. We're feeling that
We
acceleration.
are feeling dizzy. We are feeling out of balance because we're in this energy.
Yeah, and for a while, it seemed like the sun was attacking the earth, but what was explained to me, they're working in collaboration
Yeah,
because there's ascension
yeah.
going on. And that's just part of the process that they're both going through. The sun is shifting as well as Gaia, which begs the question, are there other planets that are shifting like that? Is it something that's an interstellar shift, or is it relegated just to our solar system?
Uh, Maturity.
Oh, yes.
So I think it's very specific to where we are.
Yeah, that looks like Gaia,
Yes. So it's us. We're
which
the
makes,
chosen one for this
yeah.
level. I wanted to ask, because I'm sure for those who are watching, I could imagine some of your thoughts. Well, that sounds so perfect. So my question is, what are the challenges, if any, of living in this kind of world? Now, at the bottom of the deck is transformation.
Ah,
So, yes, like any transformation, there might be challenges, but what is the biggest challenge?
but you know what I got from that card? We were talking earlier about how you're teaching your group about releasing the shadows. That
Yes.
that screams of releasing shadows.
Wow. I asked what was the biggest challenge in this transformation?
Mm.
So, freeing ourselves, understanding that we are in a box and getting outside that box. And when I say box, I'm nice. This is kind of a jail to me, a
Yeah.
mental jail. So we're seeing this card. There are people like here that are free. They could, but they're not escaping yet.
And what comes up for me is especially in the context of people with health challenges,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of mind over matter that could be brought to bear to make them or to allow them to rise out of that box. Because when you get sick, you start focusing inward and you
Yes.
actually make yourself sicker. So that's an opportunity saying, stop looking inward and
Yes.
rolling around in all the pain and look above at what's available to you when you step out of your box and
That's
open
right.
up to
This bird
possibility.
looking above.
And it says to me, you always had the power, baby. You just had to look up and fly. Use your wings. Is there a question bubbling there, or should I ask one?
Ask one if you have one.
Okay.
That have
Yes.
one. I might leave this one towards the real end. Yes.
Okay. So what I hear a lot from people is all of you psychics keep telling us it's going to happen soon. Soon. I'm sick of hearing soon. When is it going to happen? I've been doing my work. How come it hasn't happened? And what I have to gently, lovingly say to them is if you're expressing that attitude, then you're not doing the work, because it's about focusing on what's right in your world, because then that brings more into your world that's right. When you
Yes.
focus on what's wrong, you manifest more of what's wrong. And that's hard to hear, but it's true. So
And I
find
would,
that level of what's right, focus there, and let that expand. So
I
how do
would
we
add,
answer?
yes, I would add to that that no matter what you want to happen, and if you become so anxious for it to happen, no matter what it is, a promotion, a relationship, a world leader leaving, it doesn't matter what it is. But the more you want, the more you attach to this idea, the more it's getting tighter and tighter because you want it so bad. Well, that goes against the principle of flow. Things move when they flow. So it's getting tighter and tighter and nothing moves. So how do you expect the release of something that you hold so tight?
Yeah. And the other side of that is when they get into that energy,
Yeah.
now they have tunnel vision. They can only see one way. And the trouble is they've got this divine team out there that's giving them inspired ideas. But if you just take a step sideways, you'd see there's a door that you could go through. So it's when you get so stuck on it
Yeah.
must be this way, you're blocking yourself.
Yes. And so by letting things flow and letting things come to you and allowing them to come, that's the fastest path forward. It's actually when you actually don't act on it, when you don't think, when you let things come your way, they come your way. I always say that it's like at the carousel when you landed after a long flight and you really want your luggage to pop up at that carousel at the airport, and it's not coming and it's not coming, and when is it gonna come? And maybe it's not gonna come, and what's gonna happen? You go into this whole thing, and basically this teaching you to just surrender and let that luggage come out of the carousel on the conveyor belt, come to you gently. It's so
Yes,
hard. It's so hard.
it is. And one thing I would encourage them to just be present and mindful about is whenever you find yourself saying, I can't because, stop, because that's a block. Ask yourself, how can I? And then
Mhm.
open the universe to show you how you can. Because if you have the desire, you can do it. It's just maybe not the way you envision it.
Yes.
And as you just said, you offered that example, the beautiful example of the carousel. How can I get my luggage to come faster? I can breathe, relax, and allow it to come.
Maybe go get a cup of coffee and come back, or use the bathroom.
Yeah, better before you get your luggage than after.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if you have more to talk about this state, but I kind of have a final question. So maybe, is there anything else that you had in mind?
Mhm. What else can we ask about the future that everybody is biting their fingernails to know? I believe it's getting better and everything is going to work out in divine timing for us. What do the cards say about that?
Mm.
perfection. You're really good at this card thing, you know?
I'm blown away every time.
It's magic.
I'm blown away every time. Trust. There can't be a better advice.
And the picture is so perfect.
Take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Fly.
We got you, baby. You're not going to fall.
Throw up everything in the air and believe it's going to fall exactly where it's supposed to. I said that one time years ago when I didn't quite understand it all. And it was a joke. I was telling a friend, yeah, right, I'm going to throw everything in the air and everything's going to fall perfectly. I have to really believe that. Well, it did.
Try it. Just might work.
But it's the hard work of trusting.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's still hard. I wanted to ask, as we go to different stages, where we are to where we're gonna go, this place where it's kind of the relaxing place after this hard work. What's the next stage? What's next? It's not gonna stay that way forever.
No, there will be higher levels of ascension that will come after that. But the thing is, the wanting to know gets in the way of the doing. Because you want to be present in the moment. And that means
Yes,
you're not really living your life fully if you're always out there saying, I want to know what's coming tomorrow. And you're robbing yourself of the joy that you came here to experience.
it's very hard, this topic for me, because I spend most of my life helping people find out what the future could be or might be, and I feel like to some degree, I think a reading can give them a sense of what is coming.
Yeah.
But not everything is written and there's free will.
Exactly. So what you could layer into that is, what would you like it to be? Because remember, you're creating your
Yes,
reality. It's not being done onto you. You're creating it.
yes.
What do you want?
Like I can see an ice cream shop opening up near where you live, but what flavor of ice cream do you want? The ice cream shop's not going to tell you. A reading's not going to tell you.
So it's important to remind our community that you have the power. That
Mhm.
means you're responsible for the choices. So putting a little time and thought into what you really want is important.
Yes,
And then living. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Live today.
yes.
That's so important for us to get because we could make more change faster if we focused on living fully today rather than always being reaching for tomorrow.
And that's this whole point, I believe, in this show video, is that there's no need to wait for 2525. We know it's much sooner. The cards told us it's much sooner.
So it's fun to speculate about tomorrow.
Yes.
But the overriding message is we really need to be focused on living fully today.
And really be open to receive.
Yes. As I tell people, hold your angel's hands as you walk through life. It's so much and easier. And they're right there. Reach out and grab them.
Yeah. Ask for a miracle. Have you asked for a miracle? So we're leaving you with that. I hope that if you're watching this helps you not just get an idea of what that long-term future might look like, but actually connecting with that energy in the present as well.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we keep reminding people you are the author of your life.
Mhm.
So write a good story.
Absolutely. Thank you, Deborah. It was a pleasure. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Nate. It was fun. I
Yes,
look forward to doing it again.
we will do another show. Bye, everyone.
Bye. If you're wondering how we get from where humanity is today to the world Nate and I have been describing, Metatron recently had something fascinating to say about the new reality we're already entering. I've linked that video for you here. Thank you for watching. Namaste.